So Aaron said we couldn't take photos without permission, but I'm the director, so I'm going to take one. I won't share it with anyone except for my dad, who is actually watching online right now. So, hi, Dad. And what I thought I'd do is take a selfie with all of you behind me. So if you don't want to be in it, put your head down. I'm not going to share it on social media, don't worry. But it's pretty cool because everyone in this room, I invited here, and I know personally, and I trust you, or I know someone who invited you and I trust them. And it's just incredibly honorable to be able to be in this spot, and I wanted to just take a photo of what it feels like the first time that I got to see this vision come to life. So thank you for all being here. I am Gina Ligon, and I am have the privilege of being able to invite you all to join these next 2 days as part of the ENVISION NCITE Consortium. And my goal today is to be able to introduce to you what we have in store for you at this conference, also the goal of the NCITE Consortium and what we hope to accomplish, and then finally introduce our guest speaker, our first keynote. He's zooming in from the White House, which is pretty cool. So I am responsible for overseeing approximately $30 million of the counterterrorism research budget from Department of Homeland Security between now and 2030. What that means is that the government has trusted me to build this consortium and invite all of you to be part of it and to do this incredible work that has mission that's pulling all of us. And so for my brief remarks today, I'm just going to quickly go over why we wanted to have an in-person event, what the hope of our conference is, and then also what our consortium is hoping to accomplish. So first, it would have been much less expensive to host this on Teams like we did the last 2 years, right? And probably more convenient for you to be able to watch it from your desk. However, there's something about being physically together to solve problems that I think we've all missed during the last 2 years of the pandemic. And so being able to have this gathering space where we can all be together was incredibly important for a couple reasons. Number one of my dissertation committee members is here, so she might remember this. But developmental experiences are like books in the library of your brain, right? And so we are building a new book today. We are writing a book of a memory that we're all going to have to bring forward about what this community means and what it means when you get back to your desk. And so as an organizational psychologist, the psychology of having the sensory experiences of the great food you're gonna have, the silly socks you're gonna wear, the conversations that you're gonna be having together in these spaces is incredibly important for you to codify what we're trying to accomplish. Now, the second thing that groups do and communities and events do is they predict performance. So a lot of you know Victor Assal's work about the most lethal terrorist organizations or ones that hold terrorist territory. That actually holds with all types of groups. I got to see it firsthand when I was looking at images of some Shura councils in northern Syria back in 2014. And the ones that had the meeting places and had the physical spaces where they could meet had more norms. They always got out of the car at the same time. They wore the same type of outfits. They sat in the same places. And so what that does for them, what that did for those groups who would then become the Islamic State, is it allowed them to perform more effectively and more quickly in times of stress and chaos, because they already had norms of how to operate. They already knew what the rules of the roost were. That's what we're creating here today. This community is creating norms for us to be able to collaborate going forward. So the adversary is collaborating, so we need to collaborate as well, right? So what are the norms that I hope this conference actually establishes? There are three. Number one, I think Omaha represents it, right? So if you look outside, we have really big sky here, right? And I think Omaha is representative of this wide open space. And for you to be able to look up and think big. We're trying to fashion ourselves as a skunk works to get outside of the Beltway and to be able to come and solve some of the biggest problems and think together collaboratively in a space that's out of the hustle and bustle of the coast, the Beltway or London, and to be here where you can think big. We've already had some wonderful scholars in the consortium come and spend time here. We have great scholars in residence offices. Scarlett Miller from Penn State has come. Seamus Hughes has come a couple times. Aaron Elkins has visited. Matt Crane has been here before. So we have space for you to come and think some of the biggest problems. This is one of those instances that we're hoping that you can start that journey. Number two, this represents community. So one of the things that I've always felt at conferences as a psychologist who works in a business school who studies terrorism, sometimes I don't always fit, but you fit here. Everyone is here for the same reason. We're all here to apply whatever backgrounds we brought with us to be able to solve some very difficult problems. It doesn't matter if you didn't work with Martha Crenshaw in grad school and have the most wonderful academic training in terrorism, which is amazing if you are that person, Iris. But for those of us who went to other types of programs, we're all here because we want to apply our training to this problem set. And you fit here, you belong here, and Omaha represents that community of this group of individuals from all different types of backgrounds who are coming together to solve this issue. And then lastly, I think it represents the unexpected. So I've had to answer more times in the last 2 years, how the heck did Omaha win the Center of Excellence? How did you beat out those big schools on the East Coast that already had the center or were competing for it? I think the answer lies in our mascot, honestly. It's the Maverick. I don't think that's why we won, but I think it represents that we wanted to try something different. We wanted to put people together that were not the same players, the same defense contractors that are doing the work in the government, and to help them think differently about problems that they're facing. We also, as the chancellor mentioned, are incredibly community driven. And so we wanted to be able to have a place where people listen to the government and they ask them what keeps them up at night, and they then go back to their big sky places and try to solve it. And so that brings me to my goal and hope for the center. There are 3 goals I have for NCITE. Number one, I do think that we will become the premier US academic institution for counterterrorism research, technology, and workforce development. We're not gonna get there yet, but we have till 2030, we got a runway, right? So how are we gonna get there? There are 3 things that I think are gonna differentiate us. One is you. This interdisciplinary center. You know, we have Aaron Elkins, who leads an artificial intelligence center at San Diego State. We have Aaron Bass, who is a strategy professor up in the College of Business. We have people from all over the spectrum that aren't necessarily the usual players at looking at Homeland Security challenges, and they're here to help you. Number 2, the second differentiator, we are focused on the end user. If you are government or industry, can you raise your hand? There's about 50 of you registered. There's more that are online. My challenge to every academic and student in this room is to talk to at least 3 of them while you're here. Ask them what problems they're facing and how you can help solve them. You have to be focused on what the day-to-day challenges of what the government is trying to solve and what industry is trying to innovate in this space. We can't do it in our ivory towers. We have to get out and talk to them. And then the last one is our focus on students. So if you're a student, raise your hand. My next challenge is for the government and the industry to talk to all the students. We have to inspire them. They are the future workforce. We have to talk to them about what pulled us into this, what motivated us to be here, what problems they can help solve, and what training they could go after. We have the whole conference is geared around different events for them. They've got posters out there that are incredible for you to go talk to them. We have the networking event tomorrow morning where all your job from the government and industry side to do is just talk to them about your career. You don't have to do anything else but inspire them with where you've been and what your journey has been, and let them soak you up. So those are the three differentiators, I think, of how we're going to get there.